Just in case there's any young viewers, for parental advisory.
Sunny showing signs of skillery in the artwork. Growth spurts, snorkel greens in the bombs, sipping green tea cause that works. That surely ought to calm down his mind burst. Out of nowhere he break out the bars into a verse. Letting loose on the musical audio, I'm completely immersed. Call it priceless, painstaking verbal research. See what I speak is visual, taking in the screen gems. Depicting problematic themes of where God at. Can you imagine? The preacher used to tell him above the clouds and out the picture. I wonder if heaven will get this. Hear my lowly scripture. Questioning from the parasitic resident evils will be delivered. We're being held victim of mind games of society, snakish behaviors. Plus they see profound plans to enslave us. They opposition to these natural mystics, ever so gracious, numb to the culprits of manipulation. The negative influences can't take nothing from me. I'm on point with the heavens. My most deepest meditations, my most potent medication. You get tangled in the whirlwinds of the avatar's magnetic air element. I'm broadcasting live from an undisclosed North American location. Watching the world map. Pleasure still, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Zombie music got them staggering in talks on the block, waving pistols at the patrol. They foreshadowing martial law. Martial artistic war with these galactic brain cells and then rage against the machine. The drum machine, dusty old vinyl and the apex chrome. Await this designated driver swerving on track cause I'm in the zone. Alert to the trouble that follow the spirit through windows of the soul. You missing signs of the pupil vision's microscopic view. Trust who is true, and who collaborated against who. And why ask why, that's what pieces of the pie and portions of the cake could do. I'm fighting for meaning, remembering myself, only I knew. And I'm still here, remaining the living proof of the illusion that continuously blinded folks, leaving no evidence of clues. Leaving no evidence of clues. We can't lose. Fuck that. You asking why we fighting, man? Fuck that. We need our enlightenment. First thing you gotta do is know who you are. That's why I gotta say peace to the sun, moon, and stars. Fuck that. You asking why we fighting, man? Fuck that. We need our enlightenment. First thing you gotta do is know who you are. That's why I gotta say peace to the sun, moon, and stars.
Face to face with the colonists and paper minions, the ones giving screens and vaccines for flu symptoms, in divisions and separations. No patience, just perseverance. Shadow mental blockages, landing with clearance. Knowledge of self, my Lucy blue crystal powder. Tapping into Allah within God casting power. To man, the spirit not flesh, open mechanics, vortex channel, energy stay mass till zombies pass. Cannot see me, he won't free me. No need to have the 33 degrees in me. Entering zones, twilight in mind, hindsight. Can't hate cause I once chased limelights with blind sight. Stars on fame walks for train talks and brains toss. And all these train thoughts, many minds clogged with controlled brain clots. Praise due, since we came off the vibe of being brainwashed.
Fuck that.
Yeah, straight up. Audio mechanics, willofalah.com. All your Moorish hip hop, you know what I mean? All your Moorish hip hop. For all Islam to all the Moors, peace and love. We're here once again for Canaanland Moors class. Don't forget, 9:30. 9:30, Blog Talk Radio, every Tuesday, 9:30. MHHS, eyes wide open. Because new Moors are going to come with their eyes wide open and seeing and knowing. They're going to take all old Moors, put them in the back, and do what Moors been supposed to be doing for 100 years that certain Moors haven't been doing. So I want to say Islam to all the Moors. After Sunday's class, yeah, so we're going to take you back. We hold a pale horse. We'll take you back because people forgot. You know what I mean? Why dissing Europeans and stuff, like Europeans did something to them. Even Moors. Worried about some Europeans. So, we're just going to take you back to one of the Europeans that we give 21 gun salute to, William Cooper, for this right here. Behold a pale horse. If you never heard about this book, you better hurry up and go get it before you can't get it. William Cooper. Bill Cooper, guy who worked for them. The guy who worked for them. Dropped the bomb on everything. Behold a pale horse. Right? Know that he was murdered for that book. But not just Europeans, don't forget. Stolen Legacy. George G.M. James. Right, don't forget this one. Who also got killed for his book, so you better go get the stuff. They're letting you know everything. But people like to play follow people. People like to play follow the leader. You gotta follow the leader. When the student is ready, the master will appear. And we keep telling people that the master is self, not your fam. That he put you onto more science, so now he's your God. None of that. Chapter 3. Oath of initiation of an identified secret order from a mother who states that her son took this oath and who must remain unidentified, and Congressional Record, House 1913, page 3216. Not yet, O freedom, close thy lids in slumber, for thine enemy never sleeps. Bryant. Author's note. The author makes no claims whatsoever regarding this oath. It was handed to me by a woman who claimed that her son took this oath. Another source, Dr. Ron Brown, independent of and not known of the first, furnished a copy of the Congressional Record of the House of Representatives dated February 15th, 1913, where the same oath is entered as purported to be of the Knights of Columbus. The congressman may have been wrong, however, since the content indicates that this oath may belong either to the Society of Jesus, otherwise known as the Jesuits, or to the Knights of Malta, which is the militia of the Pope. I include this oath only as an example that such oaths do in fact exist and are subversive. Because of the impeccability, correct, and difficult level of English used, the obvious expert knowledge of religious terminology and form, and the content and format of this oath, I consider highly unlikely that it is a forgery. You must be the ultimate judge of its authenticity. The truth will win. The oath. I, blank blank, now in the presence of Almighty God, the Blessed Virgin Mary, the Blessed St. John the Baptist, the Holy Apostles, St. Peter, St. Paul, and all the saints, sacred hosts of heaven, to you, the ghostly Father, the Superior General of the Society of Jesus, founded by St. Ignatius Loyola, Ignatius Loyola, in the pontification of Paul III, and continued to the present, do by the womb of the Virgin, the matrix of God, and the rod of Jesus Christ, declare and swear that His Holiness the Pope is Christ's vice-regent and is the true and only head of the Catholic or universal church throughout the earth, and that by virtue of the keys of binding and loosing given his holiness by my Savior Jesus Christ, he hath power to depose heretical kings, princes, states, commonwealths, and governments that may be safely destroyed. Therefore, to the utmost of my power, I will defend this doctrine and this holiness, right, and custom against all usurpers of the heretical or Protestant authority, whatever, especially in Lutheran Church of Germany, Holland, Denmark, Sweden, and Norway, and now pretend authority and churches of England and Scotland, and the branches of same now established in Ireland and the continent of America and elsewhere, and all adherents in regard to that, all adherents in regard that they may be usurped and heretical, oppose the Sacred Mother of Church of Rome. I do now denounce and disown any allegiance as due to any heretical king, prince, or state, named Protestant or liberals, or obedience to any of their laws, magistrates, or officers. I do further declare that the doctrine of the churches of England and Scotland and the Calvinists, Huguenots, and others of the name Protestants or Masons to be damnable, and they themselves be damned who will not forsake the same. I do further declare that I will help, assist, and advise in any, and he goes on and on. Now keep in mind, author's note, I consider it highly unlikely that it's a forgery. But then just go back and check all the papal bulls and all the other stuff and see if the language makes you come to a realization that, okay, something must be up. Because that's one page in all of this. Right? Just like it's one page in all of this that lets everybody know in the world who could read that all the North Africans were Moors, and all the North Africans from one side all the way to the other side, all of them had a part in civilizing the entire world. That these people say that are Muslims and that say that or whatever, but we don't have any oaths to anything but nature. We don't have any oath to anything but universal laws. And it's been put on the record. And all we're doing is just putting stuff on the record. You do whatever you want with what you get. Whatever you want. Go research it further. Say, this guy's classes suck, and go do something else. Personally, it's your birthright. You think we just... You think that we just have fezzes because somebody said you can have a fez? This is birthrights. Shoes is not your birthright, but you have 50 of those. Certain stuff's not your birthright, but, you know, you have stuff hanging off the wall and stuff like that. And all these things are just part of that get you caught here in the concrete, where you're not fluid to be able to understand what the hell's going on so you can get yourself out of whatever BS that you got yourself into. Because ye are God's. All you are children of the Most High. So we need somebody to do something when you're God's. You got onto yourself? To 7 people that are viewing right now, Islam. Right? Ye are gods. Just don't violate universal law or nature, because it will kick you in your ass and not care how you feel about it. And you're just gonna have to accept it, or you're gonna try to put it on somebody else and blame them for your ass kicking that you deserve, because it went against universal laws. Nobody else. Drew Ali said, "Be yourself." Not be what that guy's doing. Right? Well, I was going to use the example, right? There's Moors are the reference point for everything, as far as liberation of our people, right? It's all about the Moors. It's not about anybody else. Everybody else is folly. I don't care what they're talking about. I don't care how much knowledge they got. The nationality, nothing. All right, you're nobody. Just like no disrespect to none of the, so-called teachers, of our whatever. But Dr. Ben's the only one with a doctorate in Moorish history. So everybody else could, you're not a reference point. So Moors are the reference point for everything. So know thyself. The reference point is Mario El Bay. You're gonna do 3 weeks in the hole for your birthrights? You really know yourself. Forget all the stuff that you could get, because he was getting nothing. He was with rats and roaches and still stood on his birthright with nothing. We got stuff. You know what I mean? Who cares what the situation was, right? Bottom line, you know what I mean? He got himself into this or whatever. Well, I know about my birthrights. Okay, whatever. I'm standing on this. I don't care. I'm standing on this. The Moors are the reference point. So anybody who says that they know their self, they better be willing to do 300 days in the hole or whatever for what they say that they are. Just give everybody the test. You say you're Hebrew Israelite? Yeah? Alright. That's your nationality, Hebrew Israelite? Alright. Go in the box. Stand on that. If you're not going to, then don't say that you're whatever. Just be Negro, black, colored. Because that's all you will ever be. Don't front like you're something else. Put on a veil. Now I'm pretty because now get out of here. Stop hiding. It's real. You better be willing to stand up on your birthrights, because it's birthrights. This is not somebody gave to you. Anybody coming into this thinking about this guy's gonna help me, whatever, you better stop right there and either go be a Negro or just chill and go study. But this is not a joke out here. And then for all those Moors out there talking BS about the unity amongst the Moors, how come the Moors can't unite or whatever, and you're calling yourself some denationalized BS, right? Went on Amazon to go get some stuff. Called a Moor who I know goes on Amazon to get some stuff. Like, yo, man, where you just bought off the stuff? Well, let me see what you're getting. I want to get some stuff. Ran down a list of stuff. I'm like, okay, bam, that one. Now, if I get it here, it's 60 notes. Up to maybe I think we saw 150 or something like that. But if he gets to where he's at, it was nothing compared to that. So, I realized that, hey, if, because I was, I really wanted it, so that's like adversity, you know what I mean? See, they're playing with the stuff. See, they're playing. Right? So that's adversity. Right? And brother helped me out. So then that means that everything's in line with the covenant, which is in line with natural law, which is in line with universal laws. And everything manifested, no problems, no issues, no whose temple you belong to and all that stuff. It doesn't matter. It's birthrights. We're one family. You got Fez, I got Fez. Also. But the issue is confusion. There's certain people that don't want you to look at this like this is your birthright. They really want you to think that because you went into some building or whatever, that's how you got your birthright. Not because you were up at 2 o'clock studying or whatever. Those guys give you birthright. There's a game that they play. Right? Muddy the waters. That's why you put it on the record. Just go. It tells you. We're not even gonna go in the book. You just go get it. And then read it, and then you'll get to the page where he tells you that all these people are Moors. They claim whatever they want to claim that they are. And then remember, again, he gets props because he got murdered for this book. And we know that that's why. Because he dropped the card that everybody else was holding on to, trying to make a name for themselves to be the published book writer guy for the black people guy. When people straight came out and said, what do you mean? If I said Moors, I'll lose my tenure. I'm not losing that. Just not to say Moors? Whatever. But I'll put out some keys. Because it's unavoidable. If you study. If you don't study, then you think Moors is some Arab thing or some guy on whatever talked about Moors, so that's what it is. Or some weirdo put out some book and mentioned Moors in there and you think that's what it is. This is birthrights. Either you're this, which means that your ancestor come again, so you already know that you're a Moor. Ever since you came out the womb, you knew that. Hold on a second. I think I'm a Moor, But I don't know yet, people saying black, you try the black stuff, nah, I don't want to be black, whatever. So do the African, you know what I mean? You do the fists and stuff like that. Get your cane and wear your dashikis and stuff like that. You're like, nah, that's not what it is. You know what I mean? You go, you do the salat and stuff, and you're like, nah, that doesn't feel right. And you start studying, and you realize, hold on a second. All these people who we been looking up to or whatever, to be where we are, to say we know who we are. And did they mention Moors, or did they mention anything relative to history and law and things like that we should, maybe pay attention to? Since we say that they're our leaders or whatever, like if they're our leaders, then we should be, rocking all they rock, because they're leaders. You know what I mean? If people say that they want to follow somebody, okay, let's follow Al-Hajj Malik El-Shabazz. Let's follow him. Let's see. You know what I mean? Like, because maybe we got stuff twisted or whatever. Maybe the picture by the window and all that stuff and whatever was really Malcolm Little pretending that he knew himself or whatever, you know what I mean? I know myself, but really he's still Malcolm Little. Doing the speeches and all that stuff and, you know what I mean? But then something happened when he came back. Something was different when he came back. Home. when he came back home, there was things different, and people noticed that things were different, that they wrote about it. And we already put it on the record, but we're going to put it on again just because, right? In honor of his friend, Martin Luther King, we're going to put some stuff out, you know, because they were boys. Everybody knows that they were boys. And then that's why they got them out the way. Right? Professor X and Magneto. So they got them out the way. Don't want them to link up. So this is, you know, Amardeep Singh. Amardeep Singh, just go look up Amardeep Singh. AMARDEEPSINGH. Right? PhD guys, writer guys, who, you know, because they study, they drop keys. So that so-called black people could look at things from, you know what I mean, a different perspective, so they could understand why they're in the situation that they're in. But now I want to do all type of other stuff and not adhere to what was presented to them by Noble Drew Ali and Marcus Garvey and Haile Selassie and everybody else. Nationality. The starting point for Malcolm X internationalism is his strong sense that as a black American in 1964, he is not considered a true American. By denying him his dignity and equal enfranchisement under the law, the country has in effect indicated to him that he doesn't belong. He's been, in effect, denationalized. This Hindu guy. On the one hand, being denationalized as a black man in America, right? So being denationalized as a black man, meaning that black man is a denationalized status. On the one hand, being denationalized as a black man in America, right? Not in the US, not in the US. A black man in America, not a black man in U.S., is an extremely painful experience. The same stuff Noble Drew Ali said. And no Noble Drew Ali said something about. No, he said something. No, extremely painful experience. Noble Drew Ali, A Divine Warning by the Prophet for the Nations. The citizens of all free national governments, according to their national constitution, are all of one family bearing one free national name. Those who fail to recognize the free national name of their constitutional government, black men, black women, you know, colorable people, African people, conscious community people, are classed as undesirables and are subject to all inferior names and abuses and mistreatments that the citizens care to bestow upon them. Now we know that the extremely painful experience is based on the psychology that these so-called black people at one point in this land were slaves and they got treated a certain way and they still get treated that way. But if these people can have a nationality but choose to be denationalized and classify themselves as undesirables and be subject to inferior names and abuses, then it's not on whoever's abusing. It's on the one taking the abuse. Because why? Because it's a psychology. It's not about how much lashes you got. It's about that you were put in the mental place to think as yourself as that. The one who gets lashes, not give lashes. In that feeling of being excluded lie the roots of Malcolm's anger. That bitterness that seems to reverberate in so many of the speeches he gave. And that terrified many white Americans. Okay? He has to play the game. Because he said black, so he has to play the game now. He can't. It's a one-way street when you start talking like that. And then when you go back again, free white person, go look it up in the dictionary, Black's Law Dictionary, 4th edition, 3rd edition, 2nd, 1st, Ballantyne's, Bouvier's. Free white person is going to tell you that it doesn't apply to Caucasians. Right? That terrified many white Americans and led to his being watched by numerous law enforcement agencies, FBI, NYPD, and CIA, while he was abroad and had files on him. If a nation refuses to recognize you on the basis of your race, an obvious solution is to use that logic to construct an alternate nationalism. For Malcolm X, that meant black nationalism. This is not even a book. This is just like an article or something like that. Just an article on something relative to black leaders and constitutional something. But if you just put the name, it should come up. It's just like one article. That meant black nationalism as articulated by the Nation of Islam. As he describes in his autobiography, Malcolm X came to join the NOI while in prison and stayed with the organization through 1963. But while the NOI had many empowering and beneficial effects on Malcolm X's intellectual and ideological development, it operated as a closed community articulating a concept of black nationalism through self-segregation rather than a frontal challenge to an unjust system. It was only when he left the NOI that Malcolm X began to broaden his vision in directions I have been describing here. Get some Martin in there. We have waited for more than 340 years for our constitutional and God-given rights. The nations of Asia and Africa are moving like jet-like speed toward gaining political independence, but we stiff creep at horse and buggy pace toward gaining a cup of coffee at a lunch counter. Perhaps it is easy for those who have never felt the stinging darts of segregation to say, wait, but when you have seen vicious mobs lynch your mothers and fathers at will and drown your sisters and brothers at whim, when you have seen hate-filled policemen curse, kick, and even kill your black brothers and sisters, when you see the vast majority of your 20 million Negro brothers smothering in an airtight cage of poverty in the midst of an affluent society, when you suddenly find your tongue twisted and your speech stammered as you seek to explain to your 6-year-old daughter why she can't go to the public amusement park that has just been advertised on television, and see tears welling up in her eyes when she is told that Funtown is closed to colored children, and see ominous clouds of inferiority beginning to form in her little mental sky, and seeing her beginning to distort her personality by developing an unconscious bitterness toward white people. Okay? Again, psychology. Using the individual. It's all the stuff that we're talking about. All these hexes of classifying people as things that they're not, and then people accept them, but don't want to get that you're also accepting the stuff that comes with it. And you're going to get stuff. Just look at the conditions out there and say that it's a lie. And how you get around that? Nationalism. We're tied to a nation. We call ourselves Moors. We have a arsenal. We have information to liberate the minds of people. Because self is not going to be liberated until the mind is liberated. So I know Noble Ali said he came to make us better citizens. Why? Because your character is tied to your consciousness. How close you are to knowing your true self, which is connected to the Most High, is determined on how you live on the earth plane. Your character. Right? He came to make us better citizens. He came to square our conduct. Because our conduct was warped, but it was because of a mental thing. So he came to free us from mental slavery, and he came to correct our character at the same time, simultaneously. That's how, and again, if we go check all the individuals, regardless of what body of whatever they come from, if they have children and they're in public school or whatever like that, their children are triple AAA students. Like, they're getting all types of recognition stuff. But people don't want to put their children on Front Street and stuff like that. Right? But they're getting the information. There's young, like real young Moors that know their 101s. They ramble it off. But they're not rambling it off in some, you know what I mean? Like, they're backing up at least 2-3 stages into really what they're saying. Just based on 101s only. So we know what he brought. And our duty as Moors is to get this info out to the people. There ain't nothing else that we could do because they're Moors. So until they start saying that they're Moors, don't be, you know what I mean, big chested that you're a Moor and they're not a Moor and stuff like that, because, like, we're the same. We need their weight on our side to make this be something. We need more so-called Hebrew Israelites that are Moors to get the other ones. Right? Because the Israelites are freelance, right? They're nomads. They're you can pull them. We got, you know, which Hebrew Israelites came home? Because they start realizing that it's birthrights. and Hebrew Israelites not birthrights. That's just some stuff that they call themselves. You have to have a nationality. Then you can say that you study Kabbalah and all that stuff or whatever, but that doesn't mean you're a Hebrew Israelite. That just means you're a Moor. That's your degree that you study. And that's same for, Garvey degree, right? And if you're on some Garvey degree, the only picture that you're going to be pushing of Garvey is the one when he's wearing the graduation cap, which is a fez. You're not pushing any other picture. Maybe the Admiral picture. You also push the Admiral picture because the Admiral is the Amir, which is the Moor. So if you're Garvey degree, okay, so you're Moors, but your degree is Marcus Garvey and what he taught. But your nationality is Moor. You're a Moorish American. Noble Drew Ali is your prophet. You forget everybody who you're talking about that you... Right? You say you're Rasta? You got Ethiopian passport? Let me see that. You don't have that. Okay. You got Abyssinian passport? Kushite nationality card? Something like that? Nothing like that? Oh, sorry. So by default, you're Moors. So start calling yourself Moors. Recognize Haile Selassie is wearing a crown, which is a fez without a tassel. It even has a little button in the middle and everything. Well, nationality is the order of the day. There's nothing else to be on. There's nothing else to be on. Have to have a nationality. Study whatever the hell you want, but when they say, what's your nationality? You better have one. Oh, you think it's... Behold a pale horse, once again, just because people think it's jokes. You really think it's jokes. Remember, he got assassinated for this book. Keep that in mind. Keep in mind that he got assassinated for this book. Keep in mind there was a time when this book was underground. Right? Top secret, silent weapons for quiet wars. An introductory programming manual, operations research, technical manual. TM SW 7905.1. TM-SW or TM-SW 7905.1. Welcome aboard. This publication marks the 25th anniversary of the Third World War called the Quiet War, being conducted using subjective biological warfare fought through silent weapons. The book contains an introductory description of this war, its strategies, and its weaponry. Security. It is patently impossible to discuss social engineering or the automation of society, i.e. engineering of social automation systems, silent weapons, on a national or worldwide scale without implying extensive objectives of social control and destruction of human life, i.e. slavery and genocide. This manual in itself, an analog declaration of intent. Such a writing must be secured from public scrutiny, otherwise it might be recognized as a technically formal declaration of domestic war. Furthermore, whenever any person or group of persons in a position of great power and without full knowledge and consent of the public uses such knowledge and methodology for economic conquest, it must be understood that a state of domestic welfare exists between said persons or group of persons and the public. The solution of today's problems requires an approach which is ruthlessly candid, with no agonizing over religious, moral, or cultural values. You have qualified for this project because of your ability to look at human society with cold objectivity, and yet analyze and discuss your observations and conclusions with others of similar intellectual capacity without a loss of discretion or humility. Such virtues are exercised in your own best interests. Do not deviate from them. Right, again, going back to these people and their oaths and stuff. The constitutional foundations of Martin Luther King's dream. David Azerrad, Azerrad, PhD. Nearly 50 years ago, Martin Luther King delivered one of the greatest speeches in American history, standing on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial before thousands assembled. King, with his characteristic vigor, shared his dream for America. While we all know King's dream, breaking the manacles of segregation and the chains of discrimination to transform the jangling discords of our nation into the beautiful symphony of brotherhood, many seem to have forgotten its source. It was, he said, a deeply rooted in the American dream, one embodied in the magnificent words of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. That adds a note of irony to the storm that broke out over GOP-led reading the Constitution in the House of Representatives. Clearly, the Republican leadership is not trying to suggest that African Americans still be counted as 3/5 of a person. It is tired refrain. The founders were racist, the Declaration didn't mean all men, and the Constitution is pro-slavery. The Constitution, contrary to what New York Times would have you believe, does not classify people according to race. Free blacks in North and South were counted on par with whites for purpose of apportionment. As for enslaved blacks, it was the southern states that wanted to count them as full persons, thereby inflating pro-slavery representation in the House. Sadly, this precarious tale fosters alienation and despair among those who most need to believe in the American dream. Armchair intellectuals may pontificate as they see fit at their Eastern Hampton cocktail parties, but what hope can there be for blacks trapped in desolate inner cities and failing schools to lift themselves up from alienation and poverty if they are told that America has no place for them? Coming back to El Hajj again. And everybody knows where our place is but us. We're always home trying to go somewhere else and make that our home. Right? In the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution are indeed racist documents, then King's faith in America will appear misplaced. We will be led, as he put it, to the wallow in the valley of despair. Instead, we should draw inspiration, not only from King, but also from other great black believers in America, the 19th century abolitionists and defatigable advocate of civil and political equality, Frederick Douglass. A former slave who escaped to liberty, Douglass initially sided with the abolitionists of the day in rejecting America and its Constitution for supporting and perpetuating slavery, this monstrous system of injustice and blood. Yet through a carefully study of the founding, Douglass learned to love and identify with his country. He understood that America's grounding in the natural rights teaching of the Declaration held the promise of justice for all, regardless of skin color. Today, as we honor Martin Luther King, we have a moral duty to refrain from the soundness of the principles of the American founding. We must make the case as forcefully as we can and as vigorously as he and Douglass did for the integration faith in America. King's dream should embolden all of us who believe in America and her dedication, shaky at times but eventually triumphant, to the equality of men. Drew Ali coming again to make us better citizens. Why? So everybody would see us not as niggers anymore. Because we would have a culture, we would have different schools of thought because we are the Aboriginal people. So we have natural rights that once they're not violating anybody else's rights, it's not an issue. And on the bigger scale, we're all over here. Even if you came here on a slave ship, well, you're here now. So if you're here now, then that would mean you're home. Same thing, Noble Drew Ali came and told people, and then they tried to shut him up. But the message still lives on because we're still here, letting you know. Right? Everybody knows Islam to Sister Khalifa. Everybody knows. And they're telling people, and people are just dum-de-dum-dum. Don't want their birthright. Cape Town. So this is over there. Sarah Bartman's story is not American megastar Beyonce's to tell, said a local chief of the Ganakwa First Peoples, Ghonaqua. She lacks the basic human dignity to be worthy of writing Sarah's story, let alone playing the part, Chief Gene Burgess said in reaction to the news that U.S. singer-songwriter and actress Beyonce Knowles was working on a film to portray the life of the Khoi woman Sarah Bartman, who was forced to perform in freak shows in London due to her large buttocks. Ignoring the fact that the Khoi is alive and that Sarah's story would have an impact on how we are portrayed is a mistake of great magnitude. Burgess of the First Indigenous People of South Africa maintains Beyonce has no right to tell the story. Why Sarah Bartman? Why not a story about an indigenous American woman? I can only see arrogance in her attempt to tell a story that is not hers to tell. Why? How come the South African, now this is South Africans now, because you know, these people say they're conscious and they're cognizant of who they are, they know who they are, they're African. Alright, so if you're African, Africans are telling you, why the hell are you talking about African stuff? Why don't you do some American stuff? Because they know that you're the Americans. Claim you know yourself, claiming everything else but American. How you just say you're founders of civilization and you're claiming everything but the name of the founders of civilization, and then want some respect and honor and want people come to your events or whatever? There you talk BS. Then you get mad when people don't come. The Moors should be there. For what? Like, you're not. We've been telling y'all proclaim your nationality. You still playing around that you're African and stuff? Alright, well, the African's telling you. South African telling you. From the first indigenous people of South Africa are telling all these people out here who claim they're African through Beyonce, because remember, it goes both ways, right? The same way they use Beyonce, she has a pheasant in her video and stuff like that, right? Now the South Africans are telling you the same stuff. You're home. You're where you're supposed to be, over here. North, South, Central America, adjoining islands. right? They don't want her playing Sarah Bartman because she's not African. So it's disrespect for her. Disrespect for her to play like she's some African. You're not African. Slave came over here on a slave ship, right? Okay. Slave and Citizen. The Negro in the Americas. Frank Tannenbaum. 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 Slave and Citizen. Page 49. In spite of his full powers over his slave, the master might neither kill nor injure him unless authorized by the judge, nor abuse him against reason or nature, or starve him to death. But if the master did any of these things, the slave would complain to the judge, and if the complaint were verified, the judge must sell him, giving the price to the owner, and the slave might never be returned to the original master. Any Jewish or Moorish slave became free upon turning Christian, and even if the master himself later became a Christian, he recovered no rights over his former slave. And if the former slave became a bishop, he had to put up 2 slaves, each valued at the price that he himself was worth while still a slave. That sounds like that stuff that they're doing. Have a baby, we give you $100, right? Same stuff going on. Why? Because people have dead status. And they have them like rats in a maze. And don't realize that everything's mental. Once they have your mind, they have your body. They have your mind, they have your body. A Christian slave living among the Moors might return to live among the Christians as a free man. How come they're not talking about Africans? How come not talking about Phoenicians or Israelites, or even though they said Jews before? But they're specifically saying Moors. This is 1946. That's so 46. They're saying Moors. Playing with the stuff tonight, buddy. Because that's all it is. Moors. Everybody knows that's all it is, Moors. And it's interesting too that nobody who sees the pendant, Islam to Brother Nebu, nobody who sees the Great Seal pendant thinks it's Illuminati. Like people outside of, you know what I mean, the immediate Moorish community. other nations. Like none of them. Only the black guys. And some Europeans. That guy started to get spooky. Oh my gosh. What are you doing? Do you know the handshake of the... Right? Tibetan come up. Hey, is that a pyramid? Yeah. Oh wow, that's nice. What does that say? After that, every day, hi, how are you doing, brother? Brother, you want tea? You want coffee? I'm going to the store. You want something? I'm good. You'll do your thing. Like next day, totally different thing. Totally different. Same thing with the beads, the Buddhist beads. Hey, this is a real one from, you know about? Brother, how you doing, brother? You know thyself is real. Are you a slave or are you a citizen? We gotta be citizens. Yeah, we're nationals. Yes, we're nationals. Right? But again, Noble Ali was talking to laymen. He was talking to people who have mental slavery. He said Jesus and all that stuff. He said Jesus because that's what he told you. Jesus means justice, so you don't even get it twisted and think he's talking crazy. Because he said Jesus. You know, I mean, there's a high thing going on. You know, tree plant when we did the hair presentation, right? Like you, tree and plants and whatever, they got aura. Think thoughts don't got aura? Have a higher self? And Drew Ali was coming and trying to tap us into all these high levels of intelligence. Because it's really the mind. It's really the mind. Getting the mind work. The whole thing with even with Brother Abdullah and the etymology, the mind, get you thinking in the right direction. Right? They're doing it from the base level. They're doing it from the lowest level. Etymology, understanding language. Once you get that, everything's going to open up totally different. Because it's about the mind. Thinking and saving yourself. Imagine if we thought we would be saved already. He came 1913, told Moors, think and save yourself. You know, now we're starting to do that because, you know, he also said new Moors are going to come eyes wide open and stuff. And we're here now, eyes wide open, know what's up. Not playing Moors. Not going to fool Moors. You know what I mean? Hey, some of us, you know, and remember, like, this is our brother. I mean, do 30 in the hole. For the birthright, for the nation. Not him, not his stuff. Like, though he was the only one there with the roaches and the rats, though he was the only one there, that was for the nation. Like that debt that he's owed for standing up for the nation should have came out of the emergency fund that Noble Drew Ali told these Moors put $1 in it since back then. Where's the emergency fund money at? all these Moorish guys who say that they rep Noble Drew Ali and they're building this and they're starting this and that. They just jacked the stuff, living off of it for 80 years, and now people coming into their birthright all of a sudden. You know what I mean? Like, Walmart is on Noble Drew Ali records and stuff like that. How's corporate have their hands in our stuff? How is it that as Moors, as Moorish Americans, that know this is our birthright, right? We can go sit down with the sergeant at some so-called station, right? And them straight tell us like, yeah, we know that there's a difference between you guys and the Freeman guys. That's not the issue. It's your guys. It's guys who dress like you that are making it messed up. This is recent. This happened. Where he's straight telling the Moor that, like, I understand everything that you're saying. I understand where you're coming from about driver's licenses and all that. I understand that. I get it. You're your own nation. I get it. But there's guys who look like you that are giving us problems. So they know who's who, what's what. People can play all they want to play, that they're whatever, and then when they say that they're Moors, then they say, yeah, you know, our body of the whatever, and you're talking about some people who did BS for 80 years, then you're siding with them. And then the people who are coming with their eyes wide open, seeing and knowing, you're looking at them like, oh, no, those aren't the ones, because, you know, they just use the prophet stuff because they think that they're... So, Brother Dal Simpson Bey, who would martial law apply to? Or would martial law apply to Moors? Would martial law apply to Moors? Well, considering since civil rights era has been martial law, that, remember, Noble Drew Ali said it's gonna come guys with bayonets and all that stuff telling you, you just keep walking, bro. Where were Moors when that stuff was going on? Because the people going through that stuff, those couldn't be it. It couldn't be just them who they showed us. There had to be other people. And it goes back to the thing. How come those people weren't Moors? To even know that, that's not even supposed to apply to them. But if you have no status or no nationality, then the mob rule applies to you. The mob rule applies to you. Plain and simple. Especially if they put you on notice first and you don't rebut their claim. So remember, they're not going to do no, you know what I mean, mass so-called martial law going around and rounding up. They ain't got no resources for all that. All these big out there guys are out of here. They don't got no resources. All these people that they see is like mercenary people and civilians that they got being... That's why the Moor went and he dealt with so-called sergeant. Right? Because he already dealt with the beat cops, you know. The next level, talk to the next level guy. And then he's obviously going to relay the message because martial law doesn't apply. Because we have our own status, especially if you know thyself. And even if martial law did apply, remember, 3 weeks in the hole, the rats and the roaches. So it really shouldn't matter, because birthrights, regardless, whether martial law applied, whether martial law doesn't apply, you're still going to stand on your birthright, or are you going to yield? I mean, that's, whoever knows that is the individual who is going to either stand on their birthright or yield. And there's not going to be no grand sheik there, no grand governor there. You know what I mean? There's not going to be no phone number to call anybody or whatever. If, you know, they really said, you know, forget everybody and all the troops are back and we're rounding up everybody. And this thing's over tomorrow. And they're going to do what they do. You know what I mean? Whoever has their whatever, they're going to stand up for what they got. Right? But in the era that we live in, we can't say things like, you know, martial law, like it's not been going on. Martial law been going on. Again, King Alfred plan, telling you, gave you the time breakdown, everything. Like, you know what I mean? Those things have gone on already. Katrina was that, you know? Like, those things have gone on already. They did their test runs. How they're gonna get people out, how to, you know what I mean? What places they could use to house these people, and then people just disappear. Just never see anybody anymore. You know? Go back to all the plants and stuff that they got. If they wanted to, they can get serious, but they're not gonna get serious, because they're here too. Right? Anytime there's tyranny, the tyrannical are going to die by that same tyranny. It's eventually going to eat them. Like, you know what I mean? Because it's against nature. They can only dodge the you know what I mean? The rebound so much. Eventually they're going to get it. When they're going to get it, they wish they would have just took it the first time when it came. So we don't even go to those places. We stick to what was laid down to us. Now we got birthright. We have a vast estate. You know what I mean? We study and we find out that this is an ancestral estate. This is not just a vast estate. This estate is ancestral. And then you talk to the Dogon, ancestral isn't even on this planet. And remember, the Dogon are Malian Moors, and just go check Dogon high priests wear the red fez. Because everybody's Moors out here and people playing people. Not going to be Moors, but you're going to say Mansa Musa or whatever. You talk about Mansa Musa, but you're not a Moor. You better know about your Moor. You better know you're not Negro, black, colored, African, or whatever if you're going to say Mali and Dogon, and because the high priest in Mali, they wear red fezzes. Go check. You can pull it up online. The high priests in Yoruba, they wear red fezzes. This is African stuff. So if the African guys know what's up, all Moors know this, that when they go somewhere with their fez on, stuff's different. Go to the same place with a baseball hat, it's different. But it's you recognizing that this is your birthright. And that even if martial law drops, There's still birthrights. It's still birthrights. Even if that happens. Because they'll have, and we have the proof again. The fact that the Moor stood on his birthrights for 3 weeks, no back down, no matter what they did. They gave him his bag and left him alone. Everybody left him alone. Everybody. They're like, yeah, he's a real one. He's a real one. He's really a real one. Like, we've dealt with one, just like what the sergeant said, you know, there's guys who, you know what I mean, that they're making this a problem. Because they're not really in this for birthright. They're in this because they want to have, you know what I mean, 5 ounces and stuff like that. And then say they don't have no jurisdiction. Or they want to go get a house, or they want to, you know what I mean, trying to get out of some obligation that they didn't reserve their rights on. Right? So ain't no martial law applying if Moors don't let it. The only way it applies is if Moors let it apply. You know? They're hating hard tonight. Salma Bay. Islam Moors, I just wanted to share my testimony as a newly aware Moor. Around September, I had come across some information online about nationality, so I was eager to learn as much as I could. I found MSTA in 1928 in Atlanta, so I called them to see when I could visit. I spoke with a male who let me know that they meet at a gas station on Sundays and then take a van to the location. He asked me how I heard about Moors, so I told him that I came across info online and had been studying from rvbaypublications.com. His entire tune changed. He told me stay away from the website and that the man and woman running it were completely crazy. I immediately felt uncomfortable that he needed to put the free website down, so I got off the phone and never visited the temple. Now that I've been studying more, I know that RV Bay Publications is the best source of free information that Moors have. I'm happy that I didn't listen to his crazy rant, but I know that others do. Is there an alternate temple in Atlanta area that isn't run by agents? Peace and love. Well, let's just see who these crazy guys are quick fast, since, you know, might have a website or something. Because what wasn't done, there's MST in 1928, so that's probably them. What wasn't done is Noble Drew Ali's messages to be read for the people to feel the spirit of his words when, you know what I mean, he was directly delivering the message to Moors, right? With regard to, again, if you're going to be, if we're going to say that we are Moorish American, we're saying that we're Moorish American, and we govern ourselves by certain principles. Those principles are for us to have a better character. Because if your character is messed up, you're not going to reach any type of spiritual enlightenment, much less get out of mental slavery. Because the mental slavery is deep. That's why we still have it. But the depth of it is based on not going through Noble Drew Ali's stuff with a fine-tooth comb. Islam to the Great Seal Moors and Moorish Directory for doing the Quran classes. Right? Fine-tooth comb Noble Drew Ali stuff. Because what's going to open up when you start studying what he brought is like, it takes you into a different realm of existence. Right? It's like when you have the puzzle and you're, you know what I mean, coming down to the last pieces and you start really seeing what this is. You really get an idea of what the picture is, and you have these pieces still, you know, that need to get looked at, you know what I mean? They need to, you know, you need to step back a bit and actually digest what it is that is being presented by this man. And it's a guarantee that you will realize that he told you that this is yours. It's your divine and national movement. And once you adhere, once you live by the principles, there shouldn't be any issues. If there are issues, you're probably dealing with somebody who's a sellout. There shouldn't be any issues. You know what I mean? Like, it shouldn't be, you know, like the sis said, like mother said, a Moor is telling her, don't go to a particular website, which that website has been free for years, and they're still here giving it free. And it's information, which is an integral part of the mission of Moors, is to present information. Right? Then I go to 2008. So from 2008 to now, right? That's been the source. Everything branches out from there. Right? That's been the source. So for them to take that avenue for people to get information for free, that's credible. They're not telling people to, you go on there, you double check, triple check, whatever they said, and it's going to open up other stuff for you, guaranteed. Right? Guaranteed it's going to happen. Right? No, and again too, like we, Canaanland, are Moorish Science Temple of America. We are that. We're also Moorish Divine and National Movement. Right? Now, that's really an abstract. Because I rep the red flag with the green star before Moorish Science Temple. That's not no temple flag. That's not organizational flag. That's a nation flag. Moorish Science Temple, Moorish Divine National Movement is an extension of the nation. Just like RVB is an extension of the nation. So for somebody to talk against that extension of the nation, or any extension of the nation, clearly aren't part of the nation. And if they're not part of the nation, then that means they're trying to play the NOI game. They're trying to play the Scientology game. They're trying to play the, TD Jakes and whoever game. About this building is going to save some people. When, if nationality is not apparent, that institution is a dead institution. If the individuals in that institution are stateless, that's a stateless institution that's doing nothing for anybody. All it's doing is generating revenue for the state because they're going to get their cut. This corporate state. And the individuals who the corporate state sent out to be the heads of those spots. Because this is about nation. It's not about organization. It's not about something filed on Cook County and all that stuff. That's not what this is about. That's corporate organizational stuff. That's not nationhood. That's governed by corporate policy. You think it's not a nation because you don't see infrastructure that's yours with more on it. We have a flag. We have customs. Again, when Moors go places, right? There's Moors that go to places that get offered stuff for free just because they know that they're Moors. And the other individual who they're dealing with knows who Moors are. And knows that they have an obligation to assist this Moor. Because in their records or whatever like that, they've been taught for generations that when these people come again, you better treat them with the utmost respect and dignity. Better. But the key is we have to respect ourselves for them to respect us. Remember, 3 weeks in the hole. We respected his birthright to the point that they were like, "Is your bag, bro?" They left him alone. Don't bother that one. Don't even make any attempts to write a letter to that one. Matter of fact, Anybody who's been dealing with him that was through us or whatever, sorry, but we don't want nothing to do with him. Because he's a Moor, for real, for real. He's like a real Moor. Yeah, he passed. He proved himself worthy. And then some Moors, to prove themselves worthy, they didn't have to do anything. Cakewalk. Like, don't have to do anything. No fight. Zero fight. No matter what. Put down nationality, it's just going in their favor. No issues. Ever, ever. Nothing. Claimed all types of stuff, whatever. No issues. People just back down like, yo, son. Didn't mean that. Right? So something's different. The trial, you're supposed to learn from the trial. You're supposed to pass the test. Because you made it to the next level. You know, after you beat the boss, you go to the next stage. Right? You know, the boss been beat. We just been playing around like we didn't know what was going on. Now we're finding out what's going on, and now people are screwed. Because Moors are standing up for their birthright, not for some club BS, some religious crap, not for some building or whatever. You know what I mean? Like people think they throw a stone through a window is gonna stop something. You're not stop nothing. What are you trying? What are you trying? Like there's no way that whole pane of stuff shouldn't have came down. The window's not that big. Just a hole in the window. It was wintertime, you know what I mean? Glass and stuff like that. That's not hole. Just a hole. Bad aim, all that stuff. Like where the hole is, there's a bar right there. Where the hole is. There's a hole, but there's a bar right there. And the stone was inside the store. The stone was inside. There's a bar and just a hole. You think that Allah doesn't got this locked or whatever? It's like I heard, you know what I mean, like certain Moors messing around with certain Moors, and now the Moor who messed with certain Moors, who we already put on blast and stuff like that, now they're up on fraud charges right now. Remember, people came into this to make this seem like there's some folly. But we already got the confirmation. Numerous occasions we got the confirmation that, yeah, you're a good Moor. I don't have any problem with you. The problem is these other Moors out here. Because there's Moors who are comfortable being Negroes. They got the fez on or whatever like that, but they're still Negroes. They don't like those Moors. Because that means Negro problems still exist. Negro problems not supposed to exist. It's solved. Because Juali came and told you that you're Moors, you're not Negro. So Negro problem should be eradicated. Black problem should be eradicated. Shouldn't be no colored anything needed for color anything. Manland lined them all up and shot them all down. And still, people still playing around that there, those stuff. And more stuff on top of that. And then the avenue that they're supposed to use, which is Moorish Science Temple of America, that's supposed to be not trying to make them think this is some church or whatever. They're supposed to be telling these people that they're Moors. Not because you join here, you're Moors. Not because you fill out a paper or you want an online form application crap means that now you're a Moor. You know what I mean? No. You're Moors without Moorish Science Temple. You don't need Moorish Science Temple to be Moor. You don't need Moorish Divine and National Movement to be Moor. Birthrights. Not club. It's not organization. It's not commonwealth. It's not colony or nothing like that. This is nationhood. We have principles as a nation, not an organization of stuff. We have principles as a nation. We have a covenant as a nation. Not covenant of Moorish Science Temple. Not covenant of Moorish Divine and National Movement. That's covenant of the nation. The divine warning to the nation, not to some temple. Right? When he's talking to all these governors, grand sheiks, and whatever like that, and all these letters, you think that he was happy with them? Like, you think people were doing their job if he had to write letters, talk about the prophet has spoken and think this over you Moors and all that? He's really writing those just as a message to, hey, how you guys doing? Think this over, you know. Yeah, really? And then people still clowning with this because, again, you know what I mean? The people who actually have quote-unquote publications, which, you know, Noble Drew Ali said, we should have our own press and all that stuff. So if you have press, New York Times, they got a website. CNN got a website. TMZ got a website. BT got a website. Everybody got a website. Okay, so, you know what I mean? Okay, so we go. Moroccan Embassy got a website. Chilean Embassy got a website. Okay, so U.S. got a website. So-called Canada Corporation got a website. Bulgaria got a website. So why wouldn't the Moors have a website? That's solely about Moors. And books that only come from Moors. That's only history and only law and only universal law. And that's it. Nothing else to really get into. And then again, from that nucleus, you spread out into wherever it is that you want to go, because that spreads far and wide, if that's your source. And it's called publication, which means they're adhering to what Noble Drew Ali said should be done. And they've been around and done more work than people who've been around for 80 years as far as getting this information to our people, for them to know that they're not Negro black colored. And as soon as they hear it, they say, yeah, I'm not Negro black colored. Yeah, I thought I was a Moor or whatever like that. You know, I knew something was different and all that. What do you think they're doing that for? Because in them, they're Moors already. How else are they going to know if Moors don't tell them? Don't listen to these clowns talking about you're not Moors. And again, doesn't have nothing to do with fezzes and stuff like that, even though, you know, fezzes, turbans or whatever are prominent in this. But it's not about that. If you strip down naked in the shower, you're a Moor. You're a Moor naked. A badge, because you have a badge. Badge says Moorish American, so I gotta wear this badge every day to be Moorish American. Oh no. No, it's not really like that. That's club stuff. That's the club stuff that they pull on people that has them not see this like birthright. And then once you don't see this like birthright, then it doesn't even make sense to even be involved. Just take off your turban and fez and go back over there in the nigger corner over there and be a nigger for a little bit longer. Because either you're going to be Moors or you will be stateless. There, at this point, there is no option. Especially inauguration coming up and stuff, you better pick a side. Because you do not want to be on the U.S. corporation side because some guy told you join up to their Moorish whatever, and then they're selling you out because they're telling you give them their birth certificate and give them their social so they can change stuff on the stuff and all that. And they're supposed to be Moorish anything, selling you out into slavery. Prophesied. It was put in the record that it was going to happen. And all they did was continually not do what the man told them to do. Right? Because remember, when we're talking about Noble Drew Ali, he was dealing with the grand people. Anybody with grand, they dealt with Noble Drew Ali directly. Right? So all these things that are written that they call oral statements and Moorish literature, there's Moorish literature that were articles, then there's Moorish literature that was for these flunkies who had their shoelaces untied and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Coming for roll call and they have no crease in their pants. Right? A warning from the Prophet. For all governors, grand sheikhs, and head officials of all temples. 1928. October 26, 1928. The name Moorish Temple of Science was changed to Moorish Science Temple of America, May 1928. So May 1928, Moorish Science Temple of America is established. October 1928, this is months. This is months now. Right? So we have 1928 May, Moorish Science Temple of America became official. But then in October, all governors, grand sheikhs, and head officials of all temples, which would include Moorish Science Temple, are getting a warning from the Prophet. What are they doing? What could they have done in 4 months to make him issue a warning to them? Renew your acts and amend your ways, because the great conference is on its way, and it is where the law will be enforced before the grand body. The continuance of the present officers in the temples will depend on your past good work. Those who have been delinquent may now know they will not be tolerated any longer. Because this great divine and national movement must move on according to law. These things shall be proclaimed. Not this great Moorish Science Temple of America, like they say, in 1928 is when he brought Moorish Science Temple of America. So that's the name that is really the foundation of the stuff. If that was the real foundational name of the stuff, then why didn't he say it here? Why did he say this great divine and national movement? Because he was dissolving all the other BS that these guys were playing around with. And all these so-called Moorish Science Temples of America were supposed to be under the banner of Moorish Divine and National Movement. And the Moorish Divine and National Movement is the grand body. All the members of all the temples is the grand body. Not some guys. 8 guys are the grand body of something. When he's telling the grand sheiks, grand governors, whatever, renew their ways. There is no favorite in any of the temples, for the law is laid down, and everyone who claims a part of the work must be governed accordingly. All are one. All are one. If all are one, remember this is 1928. Noble Drew Ali is telling the Moors that there's no favorites. Nobody's above anybody. You think that they got the stuff and then these guys don't got the stuff. If you claim that you're whatever, then all are one. So if all are one, how come these guys are telling people don't go to certain stuff? And then the place where they're telling people don't go is doing good. It's not they're doing something negative. If they're doing something negative, you would say don't go over there. But if they're doing good and have only been doing good, how dare somebody say don't support them? Because they're the ones that were supposed to be renewing their acts and didn't. Those are the ones that were supposed to amend their ways and didn't. Those are the ones who pretended like they were favorite. Those are the ones that are pretending like all aren't one. There is but one temple in this nation. And there is but one prophet of the temples. There is one prophet of the temples, but there's only one temple in the nation. Think how deep that is. There's one prophet. There's only one prophet of the temples. Now remember, this is 28. There's one prophet of the temples. The temples, there's one prophet of these plural buildings. But there's only one temple in the nation. One temple is the Moorish Divine and National Movement. The grand body is the Moorish Divine and National Movement. Everybody who claims to be with Noble Drew Ali and his uplifting program for humanity. As soon as they start playing favorites, know that they're part of the infiltration. As soon as they start playing church, know that they're part of the infiltration. Has nothing to do with Noble Drew Ali. They're just a front. It has nothing, absolutely nothing to do with Noble Drew Ali. Because you have his words that people, that's why he said new Moors are going to come with their eyes wide open. Well, that's why they're hating on the new Moors. Because the new Moors' eyes are wide open. And they're seeing and knowing because they've been studying. And when you start studying, the light goes on. And when the light goes on, now you can see. Because you're no longer in darkness, because darkness is mental slavery. And when you start to see, because the light's on, that would have to mean that your character is in the right place, because you would have been being a better citizen in order to raise your vibration to the level of having the light on. There is but one temple in this nation, and there is but one prophet of the temples. I come to speak to all nations. Bringing them a message of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. In the head of every temple, if anyone has violated these divine laws, it will mean his discontinuance. For no man is to be under the influence of intoxicating liquors, nor to seek to tear up the families while under the influence of any evil motive. Nor must he speak anything that will prejudice the minds of the public against the divine movement. Again, taking away their power. Nor must he speak anything that will prejudice the minds of the public against the movement. Not against him. Not against her. Against the movement. Because the movement's more important than these people in these seats or whatever. They don't mean nothing. They don't mean anything. They don't mean something. They haven't done their job. And you're suffering for it. All the BS that you're going through trying to exercise your nationality and birthrights is because of these sellouts right here. If any of the laws are violated, anybody of Grand Sheik or Sheiks can file charges against the violation to the grand body over which the Prophet presides. This power is vested in 7 or more Sheiks for the protection of your temple and the divine movement. So nobody can get it twisted, because it all is coming back to you have to rep the movement. Even if you call yourself something new or whatever like that, make up stuff, you still have to say that you're Moorish Divine National Movement. Which is why, you go to RV Bay Publications, they say that they represent Moorish Divine National Movement. Because that's not chartered, and nobody can't take no claim against that, copyright that, and try to say that, you know, you can't be part of that because, no, that's the grand body. What do you mean I can't be Moorish Divine and National Movement? I mean, it's of the world, so, right, the vastness that he brought you. You are an organization? Oh, you don't got a name for it? Hey, Moorish Divine National Movement. But you better be living by the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and you better be doing things square. And you better not try any BS with it. Because as soon as you try some BS with it, just like the old sword Damocles had, dangling over him by a string, you're going to get it. It's going to fall on you if you mess with this. Trust me. We have lots of examples of people who messed with this and got what they got. Because you can't. Man said he laid down principles. Noble Ali said he came to speak to all nations, bringing them the message of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, period. You still don't know what your supreme laws are and your general laws and all the laws that you're supposed to follow? Those principles. That's the laws. That's the supreme laws. Follow the principles. Love principle, truth principle, peace, freedom, and justice principles. That's the laws. If you think about those principles, matter of fact, look up those principles in Metaphysical Law Dictionary. Look all those up, right? And then see if that wouldn't be the best way to fashion yourself so you can reach spiritual enlightenment by correcting your character, which starts with the first principle of love, that you have to master that first before you go to other ones. Don't try to get justice, you know what I mean, because somebody did something to you when you didn't even get freedom mastered yet. You gotta take it in order. You can't do out of sequence like Taj books. Principles don't work like that. Especially if they're laid down by the Prophet. Right? Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Why we do what we do? Yeah, you know what I mean? Out of love, why we do what we do. Why they got a website for free? What hours it take to type up all that stuff or whatever? That's not no cut and paste. That's typing up all those stuff. Like, all those books and stuff like that, you think that's cut and paste stuff? That's somebody wrote those. What do you think they do that for? Just cause? No, out of love they do that. Adhering to the first principle at all costs. And then you'll be tested. See if you mastered that. Then you get mastered that, then you go to the next one. Truth. How much truth could you handle? You handle truth that you really thought, I had this, but damn, bitch ass nigga. Gotta accept that truth. Do something about it. Not be that. And you're gonna be tested. When you pass that, you go to the next one. And you go through all the stuff. When you go through all of that, then you get your degree of justice. Then that's when you made it through the adept chamber. So, don't forget, willofallah.com. We got the Wow album out right now. willofallah.com. Just go there and get your fix, because it's done. All right? Islam to everybody who supported to make Wow manifest. We also have to shout out Khalifa Media for the new Watch My Prophecies, right? Published and filed, Library of Congress, so they got it. Watch My Prophecies, Khalifa Media, pick this up too. And don't forget, we're going to be at House of Consciousness. We're going to be in VA. Coming up near VA. And we got Ottawa coming up. And we got Seattle. Whatever else happens after that, see what's good. Blog Talk Radio, 9:30 p.m. tonight. blogtalkradio.com. MHHS, eyes wide open. Felt the buzz going off, so I know that new number, 319-527-6751. 319-527-6751. MHHS, eyes wide open. Blog Talk Radio.